Tears are falling in Niue, and descendants of the 150 soldiers who fought alongside the Māori Battalion remember the sacrifices their war heroes made. The head of Niue Broadcasting Corporation says there remains intergenerational scars, as many of the men who were enlisted had never worn shoes, let alone left their tiny island nation. Esther Bavihi told Lydia Lewis that Anzac Day is always personal, with family connections that run deep in Niue's history. She says the Niuean soldiers fought in a war that they had no idea about.
We commemorate their commitment, their sacrifice every year on Anzac Day. And that's when the descendants of those who returned and the families of those who never returned, who passed away en route to New Zealand, and those who passed away in Europe, we always remember them. That commemoration ceremony will start at 5 a.m. The guest of honour, of course, is the visiting Speaker of the New Zealand Parliament, Right Honourable Jerry Brownlee, and of course, Premier Dalton Tagelangi. Almost all villages have a monument to remember the men from their villages who were part of the 150 that joined the Māori Battalion from Niue. So this morning, my village, Avasele, we held our service so that we can all join in the national service tomorrow. As a country, we will remember them together tomorrow.
And many children, when growing up, their grandparents tell them the war stories that really impacted them, and like you say, their loved ones died, they were killed. What stories are close to your heart? What stories were you told as a young one, and do you pass down to your children now?
I have a very proud history with both my paternal and maternal great grandfathers. So my great grandfather from my father's side, Private Taveli, he was one of the youngest enlisted from Niue. I named my eldest son, after him. From my mother's side, Gilbert Godsmark is an Englishman who was living in Niue at the time. He enlisted as well, but joined in the New Zealand. For me personally, I also named my son Godsmark, so Taveli that's his name, Taveli Godsmark Pavihi. There are many other families around this island who named their children after those who left. Some even named them, for example, a former lady MP from the village of Toi. Her grandfather's name was Liu Maiheto, which means I came back from the war. Another family from the village of Hikutavake a mother who sent 4 of her sons. 2 returned and 2 did not return. So she changed her name to say that Isiua, which means she gave away 2. It's a very emotional time for us here in Niue as we remember them. They're not forgotten. The histories that our families tell our young ones. I made a speech today at the Avasele service, and I asked the young people, because we had young girls brigade and boys brigade, some as young as 3 or 4. They were at 5 o'clock this morning, up early, dressed, and marched through the village green, in front of our monument. And I asked of them to please learn whatever they can. Margaret Poynter, bless her, she wrote the story of these 150 men from Niue. That is now a taonga for us and for our people. And it is arguably one of the most valuable history books for Niue and for our future generations, as a reference for them to always recall and go back to those stories of those 150 men, and to think about the young ones who never returned and who were never able to get married and to have children and have great-grandchildren. But my great-grandfather was very fortunate. So I am a descendant, and my family is very proud for his sacrifice, and also my great-grandfather, Godsmark.
And while many didn't make it home, does their blood run deep? Do you see it in the strength of the next generation? Their fight, does it continue?
Absolutely. Absolutely, their fight continues. The fact that we commemorate them every year on Anzac Day We don't care what the rest of the world, whether they remember them or not. But for us here in Niue, we remember them. And they are the first people to ever leave Niue and take Niue's name out into the world. And for that, we're always grateful. They may have gone to fight a war for a king that they did not know at a time when we had no idea. Well, we know our challenges now as Indigenous people. I wonder what it was. I can only imagine how difficult it must have been for them. The language barriers, the health issues that they had to endure. I mean, almost all of them hadn't worn shoes before. So, you know, that sort of, those sort of impacts on young men, I can only imagine with much awe and admiration, and we honour them.
That was Esther Pavihi of Niue Broadcasting Corporation speaking with Lydia Lewis. You can also catch Esther in the second season of Untold Pacific History, Episode 1, The Forgotten Soldiers of Niue. Head over to RNZ's YouTube channel to view the series. The Untold Pacific History documentary series is produced by Tiki Lounge Productions for RNZ.